Dear students, welcome to the next class in this course on signals and systems. Now, in this lecture, we are going to start our next unit, that is unit second. So, in the previous unit, at the end of that unit, we considered the basic definition of systems, the different properties of the systems we had seen, and we had also discussed one of the special class of systems, that is called the linear time invariant systems. So I had already explained that LTI systems or linear time invariant systems are those systems which is having the property of linearity and time invariance both. Okay, so this is the condition for a system to be called as a linear time invariant system. It should have both linearity as well as time invariance property. Okay, now here the focus of our focus here is on the system descriptions that relate the output signal to the input signal when both signals are represented as the functions of time. Okay, so this is called the time domain representations for LTI systems. There are different methods of having a relationship between the input and output of a system. It can be either by using the impulse response, okay, or we can characterize the input output behavior of the LTI systems in the linear constant coefficient differential equations. Okay, so this is another method, differential or difference equations. I will explain what is the difference between the differential and difference equations. Okay, then we can have the block diagram representation of the systems as well. Block diagram representation of the systems. Okay, and then we can also have the state variable description of the system. State variable description. Okay, so these are the different methods, you can say, of representing the input output relationship between the system. Okay, because you know that in a system, you know the basic block diagram of a system. It can be represented as a block diagram, and it will have some kind of input, and in response to this input it will give some form of the output. So both these input and output will be some kind of signals. Okay, now the focus of our topic, that is the first topic in this second unit, is the differential and difference equations representations for LTI system. Okay, so we will just look at the differential and difference equation representation for LTI systems. Okay, so of the various different methods of representing the LTI systems, one method can be to describe in terms of the differential or difference equations. Okay, Now linear constant or linear constant coefficient difference and differential equations, they provide another representation for the input output characteristics of LTI systems. Difference equations are used to represent the discrete time systems, whereas the differential equations they represent the continuous time system. So this is the difference, you can say, between these two, that the differential equations are used for continuous time systems, whereas the difference equations are used for discrete time systems. So as we move ahead, we will also see that how these differential and difference equations, they are represented mathematically. So the general form of a linear constant coefficient differential equation is, so you can just write down that the general form of a linear constant coefficient differential equation is summation k equals to 0 to n ak d by dt of yt equals to summation k equals to 0 to m bk d by dt of xt. Okay, so this is the general form of a linear constant coefficient differential equation. Now here xt is input, obviously you know it. The yt is the output of the system. Okay, the integer capital N, which is shown here, this will be called the order of the differential or difference equation, and it corresponds to the highest derivative or the maximum memory. Okay, so this can be called as order of you can say differential equation. Okay, and the difference equation will have the general form as x of n minus k. Okay, so this is, you can say that this is the difference equation, because the input and output you are already seeing here, it is the discrete time, and therefore this system will be a discrete time system. That is why the equation which will be used to represent it, it will be called a difference equation. Okay, so this integer capital N will be the order of you can say the differential or difference equation, whichever is here, and it actually corresponds to the highest derivative, or you can say maximum memory involving the system output respectively. Okay, the order represents the number of energy storage devices in the systems. You can take one example of a simple RLC series circuit. Let us suppose that this is an RLC series circuit. This is the voltage source XT, this is R, this is L, this is C. Okay, so this is a simple RLC series circuit. So as an example of a differential equation that describes the behavior of a system, you can consider this RLC circuit, and you can just assume the input as the voltage source XT. So this can be taken as the input, okay, and the output can be the current around the loop. So you can just assume output as the current around the loop. So if you can just sum the voltage drops around the loop, what you will get? You will get this kind of equation. Okay, so this is the simple equation of this RLC series circuit. So if you differentiate both sides of this equation with respect to t, you will get, so differentiating with respect to t, we will get 1 by C yt plus R times dy over dt plus L times d square y over dt square, and this will be equal to dx over dt. Okay, so this differential equation actually it describes the relationship between the output current, because the current is taken as output here. So between this output current and the voltage XT in the circuit. Okay, so again in this example you can see that the order is 2, and we also can note from here one thing, that this circuit contains two energy storage devices, the capacitor and an inductor. Okay, so the order of the equation is 2 here. Now we move on to discuss the solution of these differential equations. So just briefly we can go through it. The detailed procedure you are already, I think, might be familiar with. So we will just have a brief discussion on the solution of these differential equations. Okay, so it is often you can say convenient to express the output of a system described by the differential equation as a sum of two components. One is associated with the initial conditions, and the second is due to the input only. So now we shall term the component of the output associated with the initial conditions as the natural response. Okay, so there is one term called the natural response. Okay, so natural response is actually the component of the output which is associated with the initial conditions. Okay, so you can just write it down here, that component of the output which is associated with the initial conditions. Okay, and you can represent this natural response as y, and so just y for output and n for natural response. And then there is a second term which is associated with the response or the output, you can say. It is called the forced response. Okay, so it is called the forced response. What is forced response? The component of the output due only to the input is termed as the forced response of the system. So you can write it down that the component of the output due only to the inputs. Okay, and again, similar to the natural response, you can denote the forced response as y and bracket small f. Okay, so or let me draw this more clear. So this is small f. So the output, you can say, of the differential equation, it will contain two different parts. One will be called natural response, the other will be called forced response. The natural response will come due to the initial conditions which are given in the problem, and the forced response will be only due to the input. Okay, so whatever input is given to you, there is a component due to it, that will be called the forced response. So we can also say that the natural response is the system output for zero input, while the forced response is the system output assuming zero initial conditions. Okay, so because you are already seeing here that the natural response is due to the initial condition, that is why it can be said that the natural response is the system output for zero input. Okay, so you can also say that natural response is the system output for zero input, and the forced response is the system output assuming zero initial conditions, for zero initial conditions. Okay, so a system with zero initial condition is said to be at rest, since there is no stored energy or memory in the system. The natural response describes the manner in which the system dissipates any energy or memory of the past, represented by non-zero initial conditions. The forced response describes the system behavior that is forced by the input when the system is at rest. So one by one we will see that how this natural response and forced response will be calculated. So first of all, let us consider this natural response. Okay, so natural response is the system output when the input is zero. So for a continuous time system, the natural response is the solution, you can say, to the homogeneous equation which I am writing over here. So this is the homogeneous equation, and its solution will be the natural response y and t. So the natural response will be of the form, the natural response will be of the form summation I equals to 1 up to n C I e raised to the power r I t. Okay, now where this r I are the n roots of the system's characteristic equation. And what is characteristic equation? The characteristic equation can be written as okay. So the solution of this particular equation, you can also name these equations, just call this as 1, just call this as 2. Okay, so the solution of equation 1 into the homogeneous equation establishes that this natural response, which is represented by y and t, is a solution for any set of constants Ci. Okay, so this is how this natural response will be calculated, and the form of the natural response changes slightly when the characteristic equation described by this second equation has repeated roots. So if a root, let us suppose that if a root Ri is repeated p times, so if root Ri is repeated p number of times, so you know the meaning of repeated roots as well. So if this root is repeated p times, then we include p distinct terms in the solution of equation 1 associated with Ri. So that means that the terms which should be included, like e raised to the power Rit, then t into e raised to the power Rit, and so on up to t raised to the power p minus 1 e raised to the power Rit. So you will understand more when we can have one example. Okay, let us suppose we take an example. We take a simple RL circuit. So this is a simple RL circuit whose input is the applied voltage. This is the input, the applied voltage. Okay, you can write it down that it is the input. Output is the current, which is represented by Yt. So this can be written as output, and it is current actually. Now the question is that you have to find a differential equation that describes this system and determine the natural response of the system for t greater than 0, assuming the current through inductor at t equals to 0 is, so at t equals to 0, the current through the inductor current through inductor is 2 ampere. Okay, so this is the initial condition which is given in the problem. So the question is that you have to evaluate the natural response of this system. So you can just start the solution by summing the voltages around the loop. So this will get you the differential equation as this. Okay, so this is the differential equation which you will get just by applying the KVL around the loop. We have summed the different voltages around the loop. Now the natural response is the solution of the homogeneous equation. So this is the homogeneous equation. You just equate it to be 0. This is the homogeneous equation. So the natural response will be the solution of this homogeneous equation. Okay, so the solution is actually given by the equation 1 which we have written before for n equals to 1. So the solution will be something like this. Or in place of this I, you can just write it as 1. Okay, let me just write it more clearly. Okay, so C1 e raised to the power R1t ampere. So this will be the form of the natural response. Now the question is, you have to evaluate the value of this R1. So R1 will be the root of the equation. So what will be the equation from which this R1 will be calculated? So this will be the equation whose root will be R1. So R1 will be nothing but minus R by L. Now the next thing will be to calculate the coefficient C1. So coefficient C1 is determined so that the response satisfies the initial condition that is given in the problem, y0 equals to 2. So this is the initial condition which is given in the problem. So this just implies that C1 should come out as 2. Okay, because at t equals to 0 the value is 2, so you can just substitute in that output equation. So the final natural response will be e raised to the power minus R by LT amperes for t greater than or equal to 0. So this is the final form of the natural response. So obviously what you have just written here, that this expression of the natural response. So in this expression you have just calculated the values of C1 and R1 and just put the values of C1 and R1 in the expression of natural response. So this will be the natural response for the problem. So we stop here for today. Now in the next lecture we will discuss the force response, that how this force response will be calculated, and then after the force response will be calculated, we'll move on to see that how the complete response of the system will be evaluated. So we will also see them through various examples. So this is all for today. With this much we stop. Thank you very much.